Hi, I'm Heinbach. Good to have you back. This video is sponsored by Empress effects, and I'm very happy about that because it gave me the time to explore an instrument I had at first dismissed, the ZOIA. My first contact with ZOIA was at Thomann Synth Reactor when Cuckoo was showing it around. I was very skeptical because it seemed like a tiny box, and I love haptical big instruments, as you might know by the wall of test equipment behind me. To have a modular synthesizer in such a small box seemed, it didn't seem like fun to me. But after the first 2 hours, some head scratching and consulting Cuckoo's tutorial, I fell completely in love with it. What is Sawyer? Basically, it's one of the boldest products I've ever seen in pedal world. This is a fully modular synthesizer in a tiny package. It very much reminds me of the Nord Micromodular, though that was programmed using a computer. And with the ZOIA, you just have these beautiful little lights, one encoder, and these buttons. There's not much to it, and it seems like this would be hard to program, but it definitely isn't. The physical connections on ZOIA are input left and right, output left and right, a power supply, MIDI in and out, and a control port where you can use all kinds of CV voltage or expression pedals. The patching is incredibly simple. You just hit a knob, select what you want there, maybe an interface module, audio input, pack, done, and then go here, go for again interface module and select an audio output, done, and then you take this, and this, and this, and this, bam, you've made an audio connection from audio input to output. And that's all there is. I haven't even used other MIDI devices with that. I basically use this almost standalone. I've tried out some very far out pedals, but now I can design all the crazy ideas that are in my head in pedal form and carry those with me. The flexibility of ZOIA goes so far that this in an OP1 was all I took when I traveled to Denver, Colorado recently to play with Morph Beats. And ZOIA was the thing that I took with me up into the Rockies. Another thing that's great about ZOIA is the active community of people sharing patches, and I'm gonna upload all these patches that I made to that. In advance, I sent the patches to my friend Jogging House, who made this with it.
Hey, I'm Jogging House. My friend Heinbach sent me some patches for the Empress ZOIA to explore. I found one that I really liked, tweaked it a bit, and made a track with it. Let me show you what I did.
So this is one of the ZOIA patches that Heinbach sent me. It's a dual-channel ambient machine. And since the patch did not have a name, I just call it Grainbach. It sends incoming audio into two separate granular modules where the sounds get either stretched or frozen. Both modules are played chromatically by two independent step sequencers, and the resulting granular sounds are routed through dual delays and a stereo plate reverb before they leave the outputs of the pedal. Once I realized that the patch didn't max out the CPU, I made some additions to it to make it fit my workflow even better. I gave the two step sequencers independent clocks, in this case set rather slow, to create more variations between the channels. Then I added two high-pass filters before the reverb and delays. I did this because besides the granular sounds from the patch itself, I will also run loops from the OP1 through the effects, and without the filters, they will mud up my mix. At last I added two VCAs, which are opened and closed by two LFOs. This way the granular sounds will fade in and out like waves, and won't just drone throughout the whole track. When using the patch, you can for example play a single note, freeze it, and let it create a slow ambient sequence that can serve as a bed for your composition. I tend to use patches like these at the very start of a new track and to find inspiration. In most cases I will increase the feedback of the delay modules and set a longer reverb time to make things more washy. Once I have something decent going, I will add more structured parts to it. In this setup with the OP1, on which I recorded several loops, a melody, bass, and some other sounds. And that's the whole track.
Thank you, Jogging House. Check out his track. The effects modules in ZOIA are of a very high quality, and it's a joy to patch them together, feedback them into each other, and create something new. I almost always end up maxing out the CPU, because this feels like a little orchestra, and I just want to build it up a little more. Now let's create a patch from scratch. I've got my portable modular here, and it's running two sequences. One is based on the 4MS spherical wavetable navigator. Which gets some added warmth from the Pentode VCA, a vacuum tube VCA by Pertronics. It's one of my most favorite combos right now. And the second is the Res 4 by Schwayman, and it's being pinged by Maths, which is sequenced from the 512 ink vector sequencer. While these wineglass sounds are nice, I like to mess them up a bit, and therefore I'm using Portal by Mystic Circuits, which is an overdrive, or a distortion rather. Now what is missing from this patch is effects. I definitely want a delay here, and maybe a touch of reverb, and maybe something else, but we'll figure that out as we go along. I'm gonna get an input module. Gonna be mono, and then it's done. And now I want to add a stereo delay. So therefore I'm taking effect modules. We're gonna take a ping pong delay. I want to take not a clean type, I want to take the tape type. Done. And now I can route this to here. And now we need an output. I'm going to put the output on the second page because I don't know what else I'm going to add. So take an interface module, take the audio output, misclicked, take the audio output, done. So now I can simply do this, hold here, go here, black, go here, go black, and we should have sound. Now I want to add a control so I can tap the delay. I've added the stomp switch. So now I need to edit this delay for tap. Shift it, control, tap tempo, tap tempo. I want to add a touch of ghost work because I love the space that it does. 1 in, 2 out. And color gotta be white. It's a ghost after all. So I'm routing this separately. Now to the output. I think I want the delay to be pitched. I want it to be more interesting, so I'm gonna run it through granular. So let's get a granular module in here. 3 grains. Stereo. Blue. And then route it back into itself for feedback. That's a trick that I love. Of course it's gonna shut down if it goes too much. Oh, that's nice. Now also route it to the dark space. This really grainy sound, glitchy. This definitely needs filtering if I'm gonna use it like that. So let's get a filter in here. Let's just add another multi-filter. So now we need some LFOs. Now let's get an inverter here. And then take the inverted out to the other filter. So now I offset it just by sense to make it more of a pitch modulated delay. I like how this patch sounds with just the bass line. It sounds like a rubber band didgeridoo. There are some things about ZOIA that annoyed me in this firmware version at least. One thing is, there is no good way to ping a filter. Pinging a filter means you up the resonance on the filter, send a short trigger signal into it, and then it starts ringing. there is a divide between audio modules and function modules. Function modules are all your LFOs, your control modules, and then there are the audio modules that are the oscillators and filters. And you can't use a function module to trigger an audio module. You can use it to control a VCA, but you can't use it to send an audio signal into that or into a filter, which is a bit limiting because some of my most favorite techniques come from pinging and audio rating stuff, and that's just not that easily possible in ZOIA. I think that divide comes from that audio modules take up so much more processing power than function modules do. I would love to see a bigger version of ZOIA with an integrated keyboard, more knobs, a bit like the classic Nord modular. But thinking of how the Nord modular almost broke Nord as a company back in the day, this would be an incredibly risky move to do. Thank you, Empress, for sending me this and sponsoring the video, and bravo for being so bold to design something like this. And I'm looking forward to what comes next with ZOIA. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions, do leave them in the comments below or in the subreddit, and I'll be putting up some of the music on my Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, some of you were probably screaming bloody murder at me for saying there's no good way to ping a filter. That's not true. It's not as easy as using a function generator and just sending a trigger into the filter. You have to do the following steps. You have to take an oscillator into a VCA and modulate that VCA with an ADSR, trigger that ADSR, in this case a sequencer, run that all into the filter here. And the filter gets pitch information from the sequencer. So this way you always get a short trigger signal that will work, and it sounds like this. Pinging works, it's just a little bit more complicated, and I hope that at some point you can save blocks of patches, because that would be awesome to just have this VCA oscillator filter block and then copy it into different pages and stuff. There's lots of room to grow with ZOIA.